Hey guys, what is going on? It is Ando, and we've got another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. So I used to do a series where I would look at my roster, talk about all the roster decisions that we are making or aren't making, and we'll do a little bit of that. It's not going to be super in depth this time because there's just really one thing that I want to hammer home, because I see a lot of people talking about what they're going to be doing, and I know that there's some limiting factors in this, but I just want to throw out my best advice right now. So quickly going into this, guys, this is my arena team. It doesn't matter anymore because arena teams don't really matter, although we've stayed at number 2 since I put this team in and I unlocked Riva. For number 1, I'm still climbing with Executor. I never actually changed. I still really don't even know how to use Profundity. I mean, I can get my way around, but like I actually don't know like all the ins and outs. Like I know there's plenty of people that know more about Profundity than I do because I have never actually used it to climb, and I almost never use it on offense. So when the time comes, I will probably have to use Profundity at some point on offense, but it is hilarious how that one has just stayed on defense or has been in a defensive posture for me. So pretty much since the release. So just a funny little story. I am in Kyber 2. Actually, the last match of the season put me down to Kyber 2. I lost that one. I didn't play the first 2 weeks. I signed up. I got my 10. Past 2 weeks or the first 2 weeks of the season were just crazy busy. I think I maybe played one match in that first week. Not making excuses, but hopefully we should be returning to Kyber 1 soon enough. That being said, all right, guys. So kind of want to talk about fleet here, right? So a lot of people are coming out. And I don't blame anyone, right? I want to make that very clear. Roster decisions are based off of what you like and also what you think is the best move moving forward. I just think that there's not enough emphasis on what the Leviathan is going to bring soon. And that is, if everything holds the same, if we kind of stay status quo, and there's no guarantee that that happens, by the way. There's no guarantee that crystals are still going to be tied to Fleet Arena in 6 months. There's no guarantee that we're only going to have 3 fleet zones. There's no guarantee of all these things that we've kind of taken for granted or whatever you want to call it, just gotten used to. There's no guarantee that that's going to stay the same. So that's where I want to kind of bring in this, right? So if I bring this over here really quick, it's a little bit laggy, sorry. Guys, this is the road ahead. I know there was a ton in the road ahead, and everyone always wants to focus on, the raid and all that good stuff, which I think that's important. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is in the road ahead at the very end, they made some very subtle, but very, I would call it, solid. They use solid words here, and this reminds me a ton of when the Executor was released and the words that they were using. So I'm just going to read this really, really quickly. The Sith fleet grows. A new king of fleet battles is coming to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Commanded by Darth Revan, the Leviathan is a brand new capital ship that is poised to overcome both Executor and Profundity. Okay, and then it goes on to talk about where it kind of comes from. And that it will turn the tide of battle with an ultimate that will bring even the strongest fleets crashing down. Okay, and then in their little graphic, this is like the one slider kind of thing. If you had to just grab a screenshot, or if you just were gonna do a really quick 30-second elevator pitch kind of thing. This is what they basically do with these graphics, right? And it was the first thing that they put on here. It's the cornerstone of a new meta-defining Sith fleet, okay? So I just want to point those things out there. Very, very similar to what the Executor was, right? We didn't get that to kind of go with Profundity. The wording was very much, hey, this is supposed to be in line with the current power that we have. This is supposed to be like I said, they kind of said everything of hey, in an ideal world, sometimes the Executor wins, sometimes the Profundity wins. And so I just want to bring that to people's attention, because when the Executor first came out, if you remember back then, And I made a video back then, you know, when they said this, that they're going to treat this like their baby. They're going to take care of this fleet. And what did they do? They did that. They buffed the Executor multiple times, actually. They made sure that the things that we found that were off meta counters, they kind of, I won't call them, they buffed the Executors to the point where there was essentially a nerf to our counters, right? So if you are in a spot where you do have, you are counting on the fleet crystals, if you are in a spot where you actually do have Malgus unlocked, and that's a big key because you need his ship to do this, then you should be in a spot where you are prepping for Leviathan. What does prepping mean? Prepping means that, and I'm going to use my own roster as an example. Prepping means that you have a Relic 6 Ben Solo. Not because Relic 6 is great, or not because that Ben Solo is bad, but because you simply know that any relic level that you add right now is potentially a relic level that you don't have for the Leviathan, right? Again, relic, knowing how to prepare for this event is also knowing that you have a Relic 5 Admiral Trench in a TW guild, by the way. But I have no datacron for him right now, and that he is going to stay there, right? Even though I want to bring him up, right? Tuscans, they do great in the raid. They're Relic 3 for right now. I don't even have Chieftain unlocked or at 7 stars yet. I will, continue working on him. Again, Cal Kestis, gear 12, no added on gear, right? Because again, I am in Leviathan prep. This is going to be a meta defining fleet. It's going to get me my crystals. Everyone, now that Squad Arena crystals are gone, everyone now gets roughly the same amount of crystals, guys. The differences between, if you're in the same league, you're going to go roughly 50% eventually, right? You might have a really good hot streak, then you'll hit a cold streak. You might just be as consistent as can be. You might go 2-1, 1-2, or 3-0, 0-3, right? You might be that guy, but eventually all of us are getting roughly the same amount of crystals come from GAC. So what can we do also to increase our crystal income every single day is Fleet Arena. So that's why I'm prepping for this. Again, and Fleet feeds into multiple different things. Not so much the PvE stuff, because I think we've even found out most of the stuff that's working versus not working in the new Return of the Empire TB. But it does feed into GAC. It does feed into, again, your Squad Arena. And all those feed into what you can get from your crystal income. So, long story short, guys, as far as roster prep goes, right, I really truly believe, right, I have 30,000 crystals right now, not because I bought any crystals, not because I'm crazy and I'm just love hoarding and I just love sitting on this many crystals. I have 30,000 crystals because I understand that there's still 2 ships that are remain to be seen. They might have a marquee character tied to them. They might not. They might be an existing pilot that we already have. But I want to be prepared for this Leviathan, because the last time that they warned us about a fleet this big, it was big, and people complain, and people, they didn't take the warnings that were given to them. And I know there's tons of things out there that you can merit for, as far as, Jabba and getting high relic Jabba so you can do good damage for your guild, and all that stuff is fine. But what I'm coming down to saying is that I think Leviathan right now, if you're in that group that has Darth Malgus and you can, and you're kind of just in any spot where you have Malgus and you're going to max out this conquest set, then I think you have to prepare for Leviathan. I think that's the best, most prudent thing. Like I said, holding all things equal and holding all things kind of status quo. Again, I can't do anything if we all hoard for it and then 1 month later they get rid of Fleet Arena. But that is currently what I'm doing. So long story short, I'll show you guys where I'm at with the prep. I have everything unlocked. And I'll show you the one that most people are missing, it seems like, is the Sith Assassin, right? I had her at relics for a while. And it was because she had a really niche use for like a month. When certain people were setting different sets of separatist fleets. I decided a long time ago, though, that I was going to bring all my pilots, at least the ones that were somewhat useful, to gear 13. And so this was just one where she's been here for forever. I haven't added any additional relics because, again, that's not the way you prep. You prep by hoarding in this game. I know it sucks. I know it's horrible. I know everyone wants to just click on the green arrows. I'm the exact same way. But again, that's just where I'm at. So, like I said, in the future, these videos will probably be more tailored towards, hey, what exactly am I doing? What did I do last time? You guys tell just from like my favorites, a quick recap was I farmed up Zori Bliss. I got her to Relic 7 because I have a cron for her. I got up Riva because she's a meta defining character. And so, I slapped on the Omicron. Swallow has been that way. I don't know why he's actually still favored. I mean, I know why. It's because I want to add relic levels to him, but he's honestly, he needs to go away for a bit because I really badly want to add it to him. I did get Cal to all 7 stars last week, and so that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, it's been mostly just we gotta save. I did put on the Omicron for Bushleia, so that way I could do a 4-man in the raid, so that way it would save me some relics. And with it being basically half off Omicron, I said that's kind of worth it for me. But that's about it, guys. Like that's where we are roster wise. That's where we are planning wise. Again, I cannot emphasize enough. There will probably be an off meta counter, guys. I'm not saying that you're going to be locked out of Fleet Arena, but what I am saying is that they're going to treat this like their baby, and they're going to look at every single counter that we come up with. They're going to determine whether or not they like it or not. They're going to be the ones that dictate, hey, maybe Executor with some weird stuff going on with it is fine, but if you're doing this with First Order, we're going to go ahead and buff it, or we're going to nerf First Order. Typically, they go with the buff route. But yeah, that's just kind of how they treat these, right? So just know that, especially when Executor first came out, we were killing it with Separatists about, I think if I say 80% of the time, I would be giving us a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. But just think about that in the series of Fleet Arena battles, right? 20% of your climbs, you have to wait 10 minutes to go again, and then you're gonna have to spend crystals to refresh it. And same thing with GAC, you're gonna lose 20% of your fights potentially because of this drop. And so just think about it, guys. That's, I guess, the moral of my story is think about it right now, in my opinion, in Galaxy of Heroes, in that certain category of you actually have Malgus. I think that it's probably the most important farm that's coming up. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Hit the thumbs up, and I'm gonna be working on producing more content for Star Wars Galaxy Hero now that we've settled down in our new home and things have kind of stabilized a little bit. But thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.